Good morning. It's Saturday the 22nd, I think, whatever that is. My watch says it's the 12th because I never change my watch's date. So we've done the side bending, you saw that. We've done the front and top bending, you've seen this. The next piece is to fill in this gap. I showed you guys earlier, there's this gap right here. This, this great big half-inch or so gap here. So what we need is a shim that goes in here. And the originals, it was made of spruce. We're going to do the same. I have some Sitka spruce we're going to use. But to test, to make sure I can get it to glue in right and everything, I'm just going to take a 2x6 and we're going to cut a piece to fit down inside of here. It's also curved to help conform to this curvature and get it to fit onto the flat maple block. So let's imagine this is the solid maple block. This is about where it will match up. This is about the fastenment. It's solid to the maple here, and in between the shim is there, and then the shim will glue to that. This whole setup, these two things are, well, there's actually three. There's one for the top, there's the maple block, and then there's one of these again for the back. Those three pieces are all 4 inches wide. So I'm going to take this 2x6 and cut out a test. I've got a drawing modeled up in the computer, and I'm going to cheat and I'm going to CNC it. The original way it was done, or at least one of the original ways, one of the ways I've seen it done. I have very little information on how Gibson actually did this, but I saw one guy who did a really good build thread that showed he took and cut the kerfs in something thick. He kerfed it on both sides so you would get a pair, and then basically he resawed this curve into it. And then there was, in that build thread, he said he shaped it, after that he shaped it to fit snug. So that sounds to me like there was a good bit of hand fitting down here. And I have a feeling, even though I'm going to CNC this, I'm still going to have some hand fitting. And that is perfectly okay. So that's what we're going to do next. We'll get set up to cut this thing. I'm going to mill this nice and smooth. This is a really crappy board. I think there's only one side that isn't cracked and checked and all that, but we're going to use that as our test block. So, all right, we've got our 2x6. I planed it down so it was at least flat on both faces, and we're just going to set this somewhat in the middle. When I do it for real, one of the big things I'm going to need to make sure I do is make sure we keep it somewhat parallel to whatever the grain is, because the spruce is going to be quarter sawn spruce and it needs to be parallel. So we'll take some of these and some clamps, and we'll put some holding to it. So we've got the right G-code, we got the right bit. We'll lower the dust shoe down just a little bit here. Try to give it as good a shot at collecting it as much as we can. This is kind of it's probably repetitive and boring to you guys, but this is pretty much every process you go through, all of these things. It's kind of a routine anymore. Dust collection, and then I'll get the G-code loaded up and we can start cutting. Alright, it's finished, so let's see how it came out here. Pretty good, actually. Smooth. It's not the perfect surface, but it's not bad. I think we'll do just fine. Okay, next thing we'll have to do is slice that bit off of there. I'll bring you guys in here and you can have a look at the profile here real quick. And so there it is, just sort of the cut profile. You can see the outside, the outline is a little deeper than the actual, and I have a feeling we're going to be cutting in this area somewhere to get this all flush. But so the next steps are going to be to resaw this off and go from there. So we separated that, and now this will go sort of nicely down inside of here. But you get kind of the idea that this will go in here, and then all of this gets mushed down pretty flat. But the first thing I got to do is kerf it. And really, the kerfing only is going to leave a solid web right around in here. All of this will become little flimsy strips, so we're going to do that next. Okay, so for the kerfing, I have this plywood blade. It actually goes for a circular saw. It's 7¼ inch diameter. The neat thing about this, the thing I like, is that it's a bit over, just a hair over a 1/16. So it's a thin, pretty thin kerf. So that'll waste as little wood as possible and get the kerfing right. So we're going to switch out the blade in the table saw, and then we'll start slotting those kerfs. Alright, so we have the tiny little blade in there. And we're just going to, I did a real quick test cut to make sure it will cut. We're going to have to take this carefully because this insert, you know what, I don't actually like this insert. We're going to swap out the insert. We'll be right back. Alright, so we've got our new insert in. It's a lot safer. It's 0 clearance, which is good, so I don't have to worry about stuff falling through the blade or getting hung up into the blade or anything like that. We set our fence, and I'm not going to do this super precisely, I guess. I'm kind of winging my spacing here. I'm just going to measure and move. I've got my push shoe here, so I can try to keep from slicing myself up with it. And so here we are. Here we are, we have it kerfed now, and I can feel it bent. You can actually maybe see it bent, I don't know. But yeah, we get some good kerf going there. We might leave a little less meat behind on the next one, on the real one, but that should get us pretty darn near what we need. Okay, we have our vacuum bag ready again. I've made a few marks on getting this positioned. When I do this with the real pieces, I'll have a slightly better system for keeping things where they go. I may actually make up a locating jig that'll use those little holes that are poked into these. So I'm going to throw a little glue on, a little tape to hold it before it slides into the bag. So we'll real quickly push things together. I haven't really done anything to the surface. I'm actually deliberately not putting anything on the surface because I want to see how well the CNC's attempt did. potentially rough. So let's put this on here and hope. Here we go. Suck down pretty good. Pulled up all really snug on this side. It looks like it's really snug on this side as well. I think we can live with this. Yeah, I think this will survive just fine. I'm just pushing some of this air out of the way. We're gonna end up taking another suction move here in a second, but yeah, it looks like everything's holding nicely there, and it's basically getting pushed from all directions now. I'm actually pleased with that. I think that's gonna keep everything nice. And then when it's dry, we'll plane this surface down. So one, that it's smooth, and two, that it feathers to nothing out here, or as near nothing as I can get it, which will be a work holding challenge. That'll be the next step. So, well, we'll let this glue dry and leave it in the bag for a little while and see how well the fit came out. Okay, it's been about 6 hours, I say, probably 5 hours. 5 hours, probably safe bet. I'm pretty sure this glue is as dry as it's going to get for now. It's all kind of darkened instead of light, so we're going to pop it out of the. I'm going to pop it off the vacuum and open up the bag and see how it came out. I'll find out what good we have here. So none of the bag is stuck to it, so that's good. And I think. Doesn't look like I see any gaps, which is exactly what I was going after. This looks like pretty successful to me. So the next bit of this is to get it smoothed out somehow so it's flush with the curves. Now I could definitely stand on this. There's a nice big old brace in the middle. So that gives me, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's no buzzing. Hear that? Sounds pretty good to me. I don't know what tapping does. This is guitar number 2 for crying out loud. I have no idea what the tapping does. But I am pleased with the results of this bending test, or this glue up test. The next challenge I've got is figuring out how to hold on to this thing supported so it doesn't wobble around while I try to plane. I'm going to try to use a hand plane on that, I think. I think the hand plane is the best way to go there, and just smooth this out. Basically, I'm tapering to 0 out here is what I'm after. So that is reasonably good so far. The next bit is we got to get that center block. We got to work hold first. The first bit after this now, the very next thing to do is get this pushed down smooth, flat, cut down smooth, flat to the outer ring of this. So we'll basically be putting, it's right there. We'll basically be putting this straight edge. I'll come to you. Come over here. So basically put a straight edge across it like this until it's flush. You see how it's not flush at all right now, but it will be. We're basically shooting for that kind of look.